And I thought that was such a nice analogy for, I guess, what all the songs were about, and me shedding my skin and I guess regrowing parts of myself that, had been broken or crushed.
Melbourne-based singer-songwriter Queenie has just released her debut album called New Moult. To celebrate its release, this mind-blowing singer-songwriter is heading on a tour that includes a show here in Newy at the Stag and Hunter Hotel. Here's the chat that we had with Queenie. I'd love to talk about the title of New Moult. Can you tell me about why you chose it and what kind of meaning it has for you?
It was actually a reference to an obsession that I had with spiders. So I went through this phase for some reason of being obsessed with learning about spiders and their habits and lifestyles. And so I joined this group on Facebook called Australian Spider Identification, and just found out all these amazing facts about these little creatures that I've kind of not been scared of, super scared of, but this definitely helped me get over any sort of fears that I had about them. And which I think is also a nice metaphor for facing, fears or uncertainties about life. And I found this article about how spiders, if they're young enough in their life cycle, they can regrow limbs or parts of their body that they've had, lost in fights or had chopped off or squished or whatever. And so they just grow back. They molt their skin and they just grow back. And I thought that was such a nice analogy for, I guess, what all the songs were about, and me shedding my skin and I guess regrowing parts of myself that, had been broken or crushed. So, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like this is probably a super personal question, but can you tell us about some of those parts of you that had been crushed?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go.
My heart and my soul. I realistically started, everyone sort of says this, they're like, oh, I did it all in lockdown, I did it in COVID. But that was genuinely the first time that I'd had so much time on my hands. I've worked full time since I was 13. So, besides being at school, obviously. And so I sat down and had just split up with my partner of 10 years. So had heaps of inspiration. And I guess it was a massive fork in the road for me, learning who I am as a person and going through this crazy growth, after having this huge part of my life and who I'd sort of grown into taken away. And I was kind of floundering, I guess, in reality for the first time, in my adult life. I didn't have this regular support system and sort of, I guess, anchor that I'd had for the last 10 years. So I guess it was really about learning to exist on my own and to sort of process the breakup as well. And yeah, I guess regrow the parts of myself that I feel like I'd lost when I lost that person. So
do you feel like you've grown him back?
Definitely. Yeah. It's been a good 4 years.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing. So look, your album only dropped last week. What's the response been like so far?
So amazing. I'm actually so overwhelmed with joy and happiness that, I write music and release music because I have to, and literally I have no other choice. Even if no one in the world ever heard it, I would still do it because it's just a need. And when people say to you that they love this music and that it means something to them, or they've been listening to it on repeat for the last 2 hours or whatever, it's such an amazing feeling to know that something you've created actually reaches people on such a level. That still blows my mind. It's crazy. It's such an amazing feeling to know that people like the stuff that just pours out of your silly little broken brain sometimes.
So where did you record the album and what was the process like?
I was actually super lucky. The guy who produced it, he lives out near Ballarat in this tiny town called Moult.
Yeah.
And he's got this amazing property that's surrounded by pine trees and cows. And the people who had bought it before him had moved the church that was in the town onto this property because I think like there used to be like a pub and all these other buildings in there that I guess closed down because it's such a small town. But no one obviously wanted the church to disappear. So they moved this church onto this property and they were going to turn it into an Airbnb and like obviously never finished doing it. And Josh moved in there and turned it into the most incredible studio.
Yeah.
Like the acoustics in there are obviously because it's a church phenomenal. And it's such a cute little building. And I'm not a religious person and by any means at all, but there's something so magical about this beautiful little studio and what he's done in there. And like it would be cold and windy and we'd have the fire going. Like all the vocal tracks have like firecrackers in them if you listen, closely. So it's like it was such a beautiful, magical little vibe in there. And the wind was always blowing and like you can hear the pine trees. So it was like a really chill sort of all the studios that I've worked in have just been like regular studios kind of in the studio or in someone's house. But like actually traveling like an hour and 45 minutes to go somewhere and record in this beautiful space just made it so special. So I was really lucky, really, really lucky.
Yeah. I'm going to have to listen back and listen out for those, little crackles and pops in the fire.
We edited out some because they were like crazy loud, but you can still hear them.
Yeah, that's so incredible. I'm sure this is going to be like choosing between children, but I'd love to know, what is your favourite track from the album at the moment and why?
Not my children. That's a great question, actually. It's really funny. I kind of, especially throughout the recording process, like my mind changed so many times. I was like, this is my favourite one. No, This is my favourite one. But the one I think I love the most is The Curse, which was the feature track they released with the album, which weirdly, it was a song that who half the songs are about, my ex-partner, we wrote that together in our old band. And like we're still great friends. And, when we recorded that song years ago, it just sort of stayed in a Dropbox. And we were like, this song, like, we can't leave it sitting there in a Dropbox for no one to hear. So I was like, would you mind if we re-recorded it and put it on the Queenie album? He was like, yeah, of course. So it was kind of nice, like a bit of a round, like circular moment where, like so many of the songs were me processing my, breakup from this person, and that we got to include a song that we both wrote together on there, which I think was really special. So it was, but I think what Josh has done with it, he's, added saxophone and some other cool little elements that weren't in the original version, and has just kind of made it ours a little bit more, which I've loved. So that's definitely my favourite at the moment.
Yes. All right. Well, look, you're actually on your way up to Newy, or at the end of this month. On the 21st of September, you're playing the Stag and Hunter Hotel. Now, I've only ever seen you at Dashville. Have you played anywhere else?
No, we were actually meant to play the Stag and Hunter the last time when I saw you at Dashville.
Yeah.
But I think they ended up like announcing this like huge last minute festival with like Amel and the Simpers and Private Function and Full Fly Moon Band, and it was big, and we were like, we're probably not going to sell any tickets to that. So we like canned it, and then just went and watched our friends play anyway at Amel, so that was cool. But so it was actually nice that we finally get to go to that venue, because everyone says it's a great venue and the people who run it are lovely. So I'm looking forward to actually playing a pub show in Newy.
Yes, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait to see you take over the Stag. Look, it's been so amazing to chat with you about this brand new album. Congratulations again. And oh my gosh, I just can't wait to see you live again.
Yay! Oh, thank you so much for having me, Bonnie. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.